Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Georgia-Alabama Sports Live Show here on this wonderful Sunday night. And it's Thrift Barringer alongside Richie Rich Holdridge. Richard, how are you?
Doing great. Glad to be here, Thrift, just to talk just about the upcoming high school games for Week 3. I'm excited. I mean, I can't believe Week 2 is already in the books. It's
unreal.
flown by.
And college football's back, baby. And then NFL's a week away, too. So
we're in the thick of it.
We're in the thick of it, and it's finally here. We kept telling you it's coming. Boom. It's ready to rock and roll. And we are presented by Pepsi, of course, and Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC. So we had a lot of fun yesterday at Glenn Smith, and we enjoyed being able to be there in the showroom. Again, thank you to all the Glenn Smith faculty and staff, and obviously Jerry Porter, who was a big supporter of ours, for allowing us to do our show live from there. Had a lot of fun as we reviewed and recapped, and you can see the highlights, and you can see that show literally from yesterday on the Georgia-Alabama Sports Live Facebook page and YouTube channel. We recapped Week 2. We talked some college football, gave our kind of predictions for Auburn, Georgia, and Alabama. Didn't give record predictions yet, and our playoff predictions, because that's going to be on Unsolicited Hot Take on Wednesday night. But it's just been a lot of fun, Richard, to do these shows from Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC, and glad we were able to do it yesterday.
Yeah, and I can't wait for an Unsolicited Hot Take. I'll get to be a producer on that. I mean, it's pretty much going to be you with your hot takes. I can't wait for that.
And guests. I'm going to have
some guests too.
Maybe Josh Pate, Richard Holdridge, Rick Beach, DJ Jones. It's going to be a bunch. Rex Castillo, Jack Patterson. I'm going to try to have as many guests as I can have on there. Debate type show, I guess, if you will. It's really just spewing out the hottest takes you can, and can't wait for that. Should be a lot of fun.
I absolutely love it. I think that we definitely need like a debate show here in Columbus, because I'm a huge fan of debate shows, watching First Take, and I know Undisputed and stuff like Pardon the Interruption. I grew up as a kid, Tony Kornheiser, Michael Wilbon, just watching Pardon the Interruption. And there's some hot takes in there, but there's some truths come out, and it's really going to be focused on college football, the NFL, everything that's national, still in Georgia, but that's why we have the Georgia-Alabama Sports Live Show, because we're talking about high school football, and I love just the both platforms that we have, and we both get to do that on Georgia-Alabama Sports Live.
Exactly right. So enjoyed Week 2. Again, a lot of great games that we were able to go. 3 different locations. We were at Glenwood Valley, probably the game of the night. Heritage Bowl, Carver Spencer, and then Harris County, Troup County, and all of them lived up to the expectations. And after every game, we're going to have the Alex Quinney All-State Good Hands Player of the Game. And we'll start first with the Heritage Bowl. Zion Mabry, number 28, the running back, was sensational. Tarver had a touchdown, more of a running back by committee, but Mabry, outside of having a fumble, that guy had over 100 yards carrying the football and did everything he was asked to do. That he was more of that, if Caslin and Tarver are the lightning, he's the thunder. He's the guy that lays the boom, and he had a couple runs where he broke away and helped Carver get a big win over the rival in Spencer. So our first Alex Quinney All-State Good Hands Player of the Game is Zion Mabry, the running back from Carver. Then at 7:30, we had the Harris County, Troup County game, and Rand Ogletree. You better put that name down somewhere in your phone, write it down, and you better keep that in the back of your head when you start hearing of elite recruits in this area. That guy is an all-world player, plays both sides of the football. He also can return kicks. He had multiple touchdowns. Rick Beach, who was there for that, said this guy is the epitome of Deshaun Jackson, all-around offense, can run, can catch, can do everything they need him to do. He has been the offense for the Harris County Tigers these first 2 weeks, and he is was the Alex Quinney All-State Good Hands Player of the Game for Harris County, Troup County. And then, Richard, you had a special one for Glenwood Valley.
Absolutely. The player of the game for the Alex Quinney All-State Good Hands Player of the Game was Glenwood running back Jermaine Brown. And I think I was very impressed with the Smith Station transfer. He rushed for over 100 yards. He had a touchdown, and he was really the main reason why Glenwood was able to move the chains and dominate time of possession in that second half, because Valley was up 20-0. Glenwood got some momentum with a touchdown pass to Cal Lawrence in the back of the end zone by Levi Pender, but it was Jermaine Brown. And there's some other running backs. Carter Judah led the team in rushing last year.
Yep.
He had some carries. He helped the workload, but I'm excited about this running back. I know that Coach Ryan Nelson's got a good one. He played at Smith Station last year. He transferred to Glenwood. I mean, he'd be one of the top running backs for Smith Station, but he chose to come to Glenwood, and he's going to have a lot of carries. And you got to give credit to the offensive line for Glenwood, but it was Jermaine Brown that was pushing the pile and moving the chains, and Glenwood was able to hold on for the 1-point victory over Valley.
Yep, and it's unbelievable. Down 20-0 to come back 21-20.
That rarely happens in high school football.
And Coach Josh McConnell in that second half to hold them to nothing, I think was one of the best coaching moves and coaching that we had this past weekend. Was the defensive coordinator for Glenwood. And the other one, if you ask me like who had the coaching performance of the weekend, Josh McConnell, D coordinator for Glenwood, and D. Rock Brooks, D coordinator for Harris County.
Yeah, no question.
Troop County put up 38 on Villa Rica on the road last week, and then comes to Harris County and
they
only had 17 points. So it kept them out the end zone, had a couple of forced turnovers. Really impressed with Coach D. Rock Brooks and his defense.
Yeah, I was very impressed with actually all 3 games we did on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. All one-possession games, all exciting games that went down to the wire, and I can't wait for this week.
I can't wait for this week as well, Richard. And those are our good hands player of the game. And this upcoming week, we have a lot of things we're doing. Obviously, volleyball and softball, that's going to be in. We got office hours dropping on Wednesday. We got the Harris County Coaches Show on Tuesday. We got on Monday the Glenwood and Calvary Coaches Show. And then we got Unsolicited Hot Take on Wednesday. On Thursday, we got Kendrick taking on Crawford County at Connect. Richard, you'll be on the call for that. Right. I know you're excited about it. And on Friday, and we're just talking football right now because you can check on our Facebook page of all the locations that we're going to be at. But on Friday, man, we right now have 2 games for sure. There may be a third game. I know we've done triple headers these last couple weeks. This week probably going to be a doubleheader, but you know what? That could be subject to change. But the 2 locations for sure that we have right now is you will be there for you follow Russell County. And Russell County has a quarterback that he's pretty elite, man. That guy was electric against Carroll last week. They won 32-0. I think this is Dylan Griggs' best team. And Russell County is going to make some noise. We're going to be there in the county, the other county, Russell County, as they take on Eufaula. And then we got the game that we will be exclusively live streaming. Harris County taking on Carver. Georgia Alabama Sports Live will have high school game day live on the field. Me, Rick Beach, Richard Holdridge. And then, of course, that night, me and Rick Beach will be on the call for what should be a great game, man. 2 undefeated teams. And you're going to see in just a little bit after we take this next break, we got 2 teams playing that are in the top 3 of our ratings poll. They're going to be facing off this Friday night. And speaking of the ratings poll, we're going to go over that here in just a moment. We're going to take a quick break first. When we come back from break, it's time to drop Week 3's ratings polls here on Georgia Alabama Sports Live.
Truckloads of fresh inventory are rolling into Glenn Smith Chevrolet in Opelika. Check out the powerful new Chevrolet Silverado 4-wheel drive crew cabs, discounted up to $13,750 off. Chevy Equinox with discounts up to $6,000 off. And listen to this, 2024 Chevy Blazer EV, as low as $295 a month. Brand new Chevy Blazer EV, 24 months lease, just $295 a month.
Get ready to smile.
Let's go! Woo! Woo! Yeah! Woo! Football time! Set the tone. Kyle, tie your shoes, tie your shoes. Yeah, good job. Woo! Yeah!
Grab a Pepsi Wild Cherry and get wild.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show. Richard Holdridge, Thrift Behringer here, and it is time to drop our ratings poll. And unlike last week, we got some major shakeups, Richard.
Oh, yeah.
And as it should be from what we just saw this past Friday night, we'll start going from 10 to 1. Chris, put up the graphic. Here is our ratings poll. Remember, when we do this off of strength of schedule. We do this off record. obviously. And then we do this as off of your roster. And the biggest one is the chance you have to win it all in your league. That's kind of like the deciding factor between the teams on why we have them where we have them. At number 10, we got Hardaway. They were a 2-point conversion away from beating Booker T. Washington. Bobby Gary had 3 touchdown passes. We were on the call for that. Hardaway will win games this year.
Yes.
I don't know when it's going to happen, but they're going to have 3 or 4 wins, and they're going to be around the plateau I said. But just came up short. But because of that competitive effort and the showing I saw last Thursday, Richard, I got them at number 10. So do you.
I agree. Hardaway, I know that it says on the ratings that they're 0-2, but they are very competitive. They lost a close game to Jackson, 24-14, and lost by 1 point to Booker T. Washington. And they are a much more competitive team than the team that was last year. And Bobby Gary, I'm just so impressed with the growth of this sophomore quarterback.
At number 9, the team that won the State Line Showdown, who played competitively against Northside, but just came up short in that second half, just ran out of gas. Their defense dominated Smith Station, and Johnny Gardner's team goes to 1-1. We said 6-4. I think that's where they're heading.
Right.
6-4, 7-3, and they're going to be ranked, 3rd or 4th in the region, behind, Carver and Spencer. I feel like, and I think Aaron Grant put everyone on notice last week at the State Line Showdown and the week before. He can make great passes. He's obviously a tough load to bring down, and the Shaw Raiders come in at number 9 in our rankings.
They play Athens Academy this week. Next week, they will play a Thursday night matchup against Hardaway. And I'm looking forward to that because, that's a rivalry matchup, a region opponent. And Shaw looks really impressive. I've just been impressed with what Coach Johnny Garner has done in his second year.
At number 8, a team that, Richard, you were high on.
I was,
think
yes.
Now myself and some others going to have to eat crow.
Starting to become a believer now, Thrift.
Russell County blew out Carroll 32-0, and they come in at number 8.
I've not been this excited about Russell County since year 1 when Coach Dylan Griggs took over.
See his animation right now.
Okay, so when he offered me the PA announcing job, yes, I did say it. I was the PA announcer. 2021, first year head coach Dylan Griggs sat me in his office and convinced me that Russell County is going to compete for a state championship. This is probably his best team that he has entering his 4th year. They have a quarterback in Bryson Riggins who looks fantastic. He had some.
Say that name again so everybody can write that down.
Bryson Riggins. On the call, Jamari Burnett, Denver Harper. He's got some receivers. I know that Russell County, that culture, I'm just excited that we're going to be back in the county talking about Russell County being a state title contender. I mean, I think they're going to make the playoffs this year. I think their region, they got some winnable games. I had them going 7-3 when we had our prediction show. And it's all about the quarterback. They have a quarterback that can get where they need to go, and I'm a believer in what Coach Dylan Griggs is doing there in the county.
I completely agree with that. Number 7 is the Spencer Green Waves. They had ample opportunities to win that game this past Friday. I liked what I saw from their defense. Elijah Fudge, who had to replace Allward, and Gary Gaither made some excellent throws. You could see the zip on the ball he has for them. DeMarcus Horn is an excellent receiver, and they got great running backs that can make plays in open space. They just had a couple times where they had the 4th down, 4th and goal. They were stopped, couple turnovers, where if ball bounces differently, Spencer may have upended Carver for the first time in a long time. But they did come up short. They only lost by 8. They dropped down a few pegs, but they're still going to be a team that's going to be reckoned with heading into the playoffs at number 7. At number 6, though, Richard, Brookstone took one off the chin. But against a team in Valwood, if you don't know them and you're like, who's Valwood? That's just some private school. No, that school is probably one of the best private school football teams we have in our state. They beat John Millage, who had that long winning streak last year. It was like 90 games, the longest in the country. Brookstone losing that game on the road. Remember, they lost to Glenwood last year at home and able to overcome it. Started 0-2. Lost to First Presbyterian Day and went all the way to the state. So this loss, I think it's just going to get Brant Gillespie extra motivation and extra bulletin board material to say, hey, people are now doubting you. Let's prove them wrong. They come in at number 6.
Yeah, Brookstone is taking on Mount Vernon, which is a GHSA school, and they're going to be tested. because when you're facing public schools, I mean, that's usually what happens. But I've been impressed with Jakeith Tolbert. I've been impressed with the quarterback, Lott, who's taken over for Brooks Roney. It seems like whoever the quarterback is, that they're going to be fine under Coach Rance Gillespie's system. Brookstone's still one of the top teams in the GIAA.
Number 5 is the Glenwood Gators. Wow. What an incredible victory they had over Valley, being down 20-0 to come back and win that 21-20. They got to go on the road against Elba. We'll talk about that here in the next segment. But Glenwood, I think, getting the most impressive win, aside from Harris County this past weekend. They come in at number 5, and I'm telling you, Coach Nelson's team, I said it at the beginning of the year. You and Noah did not think 6 wins. You said 5. Noah said 3.
I said 5-5.
I said 7-3, and I'm maybe going 8-2 around there. I think this team's only going to get better offensively. They come in at number 5 in our rankings.
I've talked to several people that actually cover Alabama high school at the AHSAA level, including the Alabama Writers Association, that did not give them any votes in the poll for 3A. This is actually shocking to some, that Glenwood was able to take on a 5A public school and beat them. I know that the competition between AISA and AHSAA, actually the Valley broadcaster said, like, you know, Glenwood recruits at the private school level just like Georgia recruits at the private school level, taking on public schools. It's just that a lot of people that cover high school football in Alabama just didn't see this coming because they just don't cover the AISA. They've never seen Glenwood. And so for Glenwood to beat Valley was shocking to them.
Yep. Number 4, Northside came off a bye. Really didn't learn anything about them because they didn't have to play. They do have to go against Northgate, who was in the region last year. Really good team. I think they finished 2nd in the region behind Harris County.
Yeah.
So Northside comes in at number 4. They got a big one against Northgate. They go that 2-0. They got Carver coming up in Harris County here in these next couple of weeks. So they want to make sure they're rocking and rolling when they got to take on those 2 teams.
Yeah, Northside, we knew that this is a good team. Caden Clay, they got the 2-headed running back with Kingston Rivers and Jay Jackson. It's just that, you know, Northside is just staying put in our ratings because they didn't play this week.
Coming in at number 3, moving down a peg, because I think that they could have played better football, but it was still a good win early in the season. You're knocking off the rust, is the Carver Tigers. Again, that is a rivalry, and they won 17-9. The defense made enough plays. The offense did what they were supposed to do. Couple of shaky throws. Matthew Mungden, a couple of interceptions that he probably wish he could have had back. But aside from that, Carver did get a big win, and they're going to come in at number 3. But number 2, and I think made the biggest leap, is the Harris County Tigers. They probably have the best 2 wins out of anybody on this ratings poll.
No question.
Beating Manchester, who just won last night. Won Friday night, 6-0 over Upson Lee. They're going to be a team in 2A that's going to make a deep playoff run. And then they just beat Troup County, and we know how good they are under Tanner Glisson. And they smoked Villarica the week before, 38-6, to win that one 21-17 and beat Troup County for the first time in 3 years. And remember, the last 2 times they've gotten blown out against Troup County. Huge win for Tommy Watson. And I think they were the biggest winner, aside from Glenwood, this past weekend. And they move up all the way to number 2. So we got number 2 and number 3 on Georgia Alabama Sports Live this Friday. Any thoughts on Carver and Harris County?
Well, both teams coming in 2-0. That is going to be, so far, our biggest game on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. It's going to be our game of the week. It's probably going to be WRBL and WTVM's game of the week. I mean, there's a lot of hype with this game because you got 2 historic programs that played each other a decade ago, and they were in the same region when they were battling for region titles. I think that this is just going to be incredible. 2 incredible fan bases, and Harris County up there at Danny Durham Field, it is just going to be absolutely insane. And I know that I can't wait for this game. High school game day is going to be there, and we got the number 2 and number 3 team going at it. It's incredible.
Number 1 is obviously Central, and they took Pinson Valley behind the woodshed and did things that probably should have had someone call security on them. They 61-7 just obliterated them. Andrew Alford, he picked up where he left off last year. They got another one against Lutheran North. Remember, they got IMG Academy. And I'm really feeling Central undefeated and ranked nationally top 10. I think that team is that loaded this year. But a big win for them. They come in at number 1.
Like people don't realize how great Central is. I mean, I know that like you got like teams like Carrollton and Grayson that are on ESPN. Central needs to be on ESPN more because you had Grayson and Thompson on ESPN2 the other night.
Yep.
They will get their opportunity when they play IMG Academy. The whole nation will see how good Central is. Because, by the way, IMG Academy lost to a team in Utah, so they are not invincible. They can get beaten. And I can't wait for that game against IMG Academy when Central plays them again.
Yeah, I can't wait either, Richard. And it's going to be a lot of fun to be able to see those two teams face off. But here's our ratings poll. Number 10, Hardaway. Number 9, Shaw. Number 8, Russell County. Number 7, Spencer. Number 6, Brookstone. Number 5, Glenwood. Number 4, Northside. 3, Carver. 2, Harris County. And number 1 is the Central Red Devils. Here is Week 3. Georgia Alabama Sports Live Top 10 High School Football Ratings Poll. And we are presented by Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC, Pepsi, and Zaxby's. Appreciate Judson Humphreys because this upcoming weekend, I'm going to need to feed a lot of people to watch some college football Saturday.
No,
and I'm calling Zaxby's to get me my platters. And then I'm going to have a bunch of Pepsis to wash it down with. So thank you to Zaxby's. And also thank you to Allstate, Alex Quinney. Thank you to Terry Johnson Agency. Thank you to State Farm, Carol Purdue. Thank you to the Morehouse School of Medicine, all sponsors of Georgia Alabama Sports Live. We're going to take another break, and we'll come back for our final segment. We're going to talk about that Week 3 slate. There's a bunch of games. We're going to hit on, do some quick hitters. It's the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show. We'll see you right after this.
Now at Glenn Smith GMC in Opelika, the full-size GMC Sierra 4x4 crew cabs discounted up to a giant $15,000 off. GMC Canyons with plenty of power and excellent towing ability, up to $5,000 off. And the roomy and enjoyable compact SUV, the popular GMC Terrains, up to $6,750 off.
Choose from over 500 new and used vehicles on the lot or on the way to Glenn Smith and Opelika. Get ready to smile.
Welcome back to the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show here in the Georgia Alabama Sports Live studios. And it is the Week 3 slate that we got coming up. Can you believe it? Already in Week 3 of high school football.
Can't believe it.
Week 1 of college football, and we're a week away from NFL starting. So just a lot happening here on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Just by the way, looking at the schedule, where we're going to be this week, and you, again, can find this schedule on our Facebook page and our actually both our Facebook page, Georgia Alabama Sports Live, and the GAS Live broadcast page. We got Hardaway, Spencer softball. Richard, you'll be there for that. And Glenwood and Calvary coaches shows on Monday. On Tuesday, I'll be at the Troup County Calvary volleyball game. And we also got Chilton County at Glenwood volleyball game that Noah will be at. And then we got the Harris County coaches show. We also had earlier today the Kudzu Sports Show.
Yep.
Great job by them and Rick Beach. Wednesday, we got office hours, an unsolicited hot take. And on Thursday, we got Harris County softball that Rick Beach will be at. We got football, obviously, with Kendrick taking on Crawford County. You're going to be there for that. And then we got the kickoff for a cause, which is an incredible event put on by the Ann Elizabeth Shepherd Home in Twin Cedars, a nonprofit organization doing great things in our community. And DJ Jones and Sports Vision has been partnering with them for the last several years, and now we will too. We're going to live stream the event. It's at CSU. DJ Jones, Dave Platt are hosting it. I'll be the sideline reporter. So we got that going, plus a football game and softball all Thursday. And then on Friday, as of now, just a doubleheader. We may add another game. That's still to be decided. But as of now, we got Eufaula taking on Russell County. Richard, I know he's pinching himself right now. He can't wait to do that. And then, of course, we got Carver and Harris County in the Georgia Alabama Sports Live show on Saturday. I'll be going to cover Georgia Clemson Saturday, and then we got our show on Sunday. So just busy week here in Georgia Alabama Sports Live, and there's a busy slate of football games. And we'll start with the two on Thursday. You got Spencer at Lovett, and you got Crawford County Kendrick. Spencer needs to get Lovett at Spencer, and Spencer needs to get a big win. They're 1-1 right now. They need to get a win over Lovett as they head into region play after losing to Carver last week. And Kendrick got beat by Best after that big win over Walker, but I think they have what it takes to get a win over Crawford County. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I think that what Coach Emmanuel Mayo Brown has done, I mean, he's shown after beating the Walker School 38-0, it just wasn't your night. You took on a best academy team that it was really good. Their defense just shut Kendrick down. I still think that everything that Kendrick can play is in front of him, and they finally get to be showcased on Georgia Alabama Sports Live this season, taking on a Crawford County team out of Roberta. Now, that's the next county over from Taylor County, not necessarily in our coverage of area because we cover the Chattahoochee Valley all the way up to Taylor County, but Crawford County is more of the Macon market. So it's an opportunity to showcase a smaller school from the GHSA Division I that's coming to Kinnett Stadium. And by the way, I mean, it's very unique that Kendrick is playing at Kinnett Stadium. Usually their home stadium is Otis Spencer.
Yeah.
But because you have Shaw and Northside playing on Friday, either Shaw or Northside is going to play at Otis Spencer. So, the Kendrick fans will come up, they'll see Kendrick, and it'll be their home game. And I'm looking forward to it. And I know that Coach Mayo is excited that Kendrick's going to be there under the bright lights on a Thursday night at Kinnett Stadium.
On Georgia Alabama Sports Live.
Exactly.
And Spencer, Elijah Fudge, and that offense, I know Coach Keller thinks big things are coming this year. And a lot of things that they can build off of and a lot of things that they can take. And, I like what I saw from their defense against Carver, taking on a good Lovett team. And we hope that they're going to do a really good job. I'm picking Spencer to win that game. I know you are too, Richard. The other games we're going to talk about are the Friday games, and we'll go ahead and start with the two that we're going to be covering. First with Eufaula Russell County.
Yeah, Eufaula was a team that went to the semifinals last year. Their head coach is led by the Super Bowl winning head coach, Jarrell Jernigan, who got a Super Bowl ring from the New York Giants. Eufaula has had great receivers like Yanzi Pierre, who's now at Alabama, Ra Thomas, who is at Georgia. Eufaula was at Georgia. Unfortunately, he did get let go from the team. But, Eufaula has just a tradition of getting skilled position players to play at the next level. This is a matchup between two former region opponents. I was actually there when Eufaula pretty much punched Russell County in the mouth in 2021. That was the last time they were region opponents. They beat them like 41-10. Russell County is looking to try to get this win. They have beaten Eufaula in a scrimmage. They do match up well against Eufaula. Eufaula did lose to Booker T. Washington last week, so they're trying to ride the storm.
And this is Booker T. Washington
from Tuskegee.
Alabama.
Yes, from Tuskegee to Booker T. Washington.
Yeah.
So Eufaula, they're trying to pick up a win. Russell County trying to go 2-0. And I'm just a believer in what Coach Dylan Griggs is doing, and I'm excited about what Bryson Riggins brings as a quarterback for the Russell County Warriors.
I can't wait to see him under the bright lights of Georgia Alabama Sports Live because I've heard some incredible things about Riggins, and now at Russell County, Griggs thinks that he has a quarterback that's going to allow them to be successful this year.
Absolutely.
And I think that they're going to get a lot of fan support, and I can't wait for it as Russell County is taking on Eufaula. I'm going to be at the game Harris County Carver. And I'm going to say this in previewing this game. Two things. Carver has not faced anyone with the size that Harris County has. I think both teams are going to play low scoring. As if you looked at Carver, they're averaging about 19 points a game, and Harris County's averaging about 18 points a game. So neither one of them have explosive offenses. They rely on their excellent defense, not turning the football over, and big plays from their playmakers like a Braylon Jakes, like a Jacoby Castle for Carver, or Rand Ogletree for Harris County. I'm leaning towards the Tigers of Harris County. It's two Tigers, but the Tigers of Harris County, that size up front, as you're seeing here in week 1 and week 2, and a lot of lopsided victories for teams, is if you don't have a good offense and defensive line, and if you, for one, you're probably going to struggle. And if you do have a very elite unit, and that's the best unit Harris County has, you can win pretty much almost against anyone and play those low-scoring games. You know it's going to be packed. Carver's always has a good showing from their fan base. And Harris County, I heard the atmosphere was incredible last week as Chris Gates is literally shaking his head right now, saying how great it was. If you're Matthew Mungden, there were several throws he was trying to throw off his back, and I'm trying to show, but off his back leg, and he was kind of like fading away, and he let the ball get too much air in it and had an interception and an almost interception. You do that against C-Rock Brooks' defense, it could be a pick six, and then you don't want to keep your defense on the field to get worn down. That's what Harris County does. They like wearing teams down. So if you're Carver, you got to play that game where we need explosive plays from our playmakers. Our quarterback's got to be able to find the receivers and not have a bunch of drop passes like we saw last week. So Carver and Harris County should be a great game. Two elite defenses. I expect this to be a 20-16, 21-14 type game. I'm not going to say who I'm picking yet, but Harris County has looked really strong these last 2 weeks. But I'm telling you, Carver has not hit their stride either, and they have not played their best football. And when they do, look out. It could be this week. Richard.
I think that's a good teaser for high school game day. I think these two teams, they know what they want to do. They have built an identity. But what I've seen from Carver, if you look at last year when they took on teams that are a higher classification, like a Brookwood, they play them close. They did lose by 1 point to a 7A Brookwood. They did take on Hayfield Charter, who was 4A, and they lost to them. Carver's a 2A school. Harris County is a 4A school. I think just the size and just the physicality of the Harris County defense, it might be too much. But Carver does have some incredible wide receiver play with Jacoby Caslin. You have Tristan Givens. You have Braylon Jakes.
And Givens was great as a defensive lineman and a receiver.
He's more of a defensive player. He's one of the top defensive players that the Carver Tigers have. I think that you have the coaching matchup of Coach Pierre Coffey and Coach Tommy Watson. It might come down to execution, X's and O's, but you got to give the slight advantage to Harris County playing at home with that home field advantage of the county. That could be maybe the thing that puts them over the top. But I can't wait for this game because you got two 2-0 teams going at it, and we get to see the best of the best because these two teams, they really represent their classification very well, and they both made deep playoff runs last year. So you can't ask for a better matchup.
Exactly right. A couple other games that the note of. Jordan goes on the road to Chatco. That's going to be a battle of two teams that don't have any wins. And Coach Figgins.
First home game.
Yes, first home game of his career, trying to get a win against Jordan. And Coach McDaniel had a great effort against Bremen, losing last week. FPD and Pacelli have to fix themselves. But I didn't say fix themselves, but sorry. We were looking at a graphic, and there was a misspelling on there that kind of messed me up a little bit. But FPD taking on Pacelli. Pacelli got blanked last week against Hatton Square, Richard. FPD's they won state last year. This is going to be a tough one. It's at Pacelli, but Coach Jones, maybe this is the second home game of the season. Maybe they feel like they can fix some things, but it's going to be a big one.
Yeah, it is.
And against a really good opponent. Brookstone goes on the road to take on Mount Vernon, another GIAA school, but I think Grant Gillespie and his team are going to get back on track. And Calvary Christian, they are going to be taking on, I can't see it right now.
Mount DeSales.
Mount DeSales,
Yeah.
who Mount DeSales is I think they're pretty even. And it's on the road, though. And, Calvary did look good last week. And putting that as nicely as I can, but maybe this week, again, same thing with Pacelli and Brookstone, all had long weekends, but their coaching staffs, I believe in. I think they're elite, and they're going to be able to shake off and have good Fridays this upcoming week.
Yeah, and then some of the other matchups, we talked about Northside hosting Northgate, Shaw is hosting Athens Academy. They're used to playing at Kinnett Stadium. One of them is going to be playing at Otis Spencer Stadium, which is going to be very unique for whatever fan base, and we don't know which game is going to be where, but that's going to be very interesting. Glenwood going on the road, taking on Elba. They got to take on one of the top running back recruits that's committed to Auburn in the state of Alabama, Alvin Henderson.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to that matchup. That Glenwood defense going up against Alvin Henderson and the Elba Tigers, which is a non-region opponent, and Elba is one of the top teams in Alabama at the lower classification. And then, you got some Muskogee County schools on the road. Columbus going down to take on Randolph Clay. Hardaway is taking on Greenville. You got Smith Station. After the state line showdown, they are going up to Ram Stadium to take on Valley.
Yep.
Both teams trying to get a win. I mean, they both lost in week 1. And then, of course, Central taking on a team from Missouri, Lutheran North.
Yep, and we expect Central to win. Hardaway, I think, is going to beat Greenville. They're going to get their first win of the season. Mark it down. I'll say it right now. Smith Station, that's going to be tough against Valley, especially with Glenwood beating Valley last week, Smith Station, I don't think, wants to lose a team that Glenwood just beat.
Right.
You know, both of them being rivals and stuff. But got a busy week, and Coach Robert Peters trying to get his first win of the season against a decent Randolph Clay team, and Glenwood going on the road against Elba. That should be tough.
wait.
But I think Coach Nelson's team taking that momentum from last week, 1 week at a time. We're going to find out tomorrow on the Glenwood Coaches Show. But I know how excited he is, and he's proud of his guys, and he thinks they're going to have an excellent year this year, as we do too. So busy week this week on the Georgia-Alabama Sports Live slate for our games that we're going to be doing, and obviously the other football games around here. But I think Hardaway, Glenwood, I think Calvary's going to have a good showing. Pacelli, they're going to come out strong against FPD. I think the teams that had a tough week last week are going to show why they got elite coaching staffs, and they're going to get better for this week.
And there's 2 games that I did not fit on this graphic that I wanted to make mention. Callaway is taking on Opelika, so that rivalry is back on. And Lee Scott Academy is taking on Lochapoka.
How about that?
Lochapoka is now 2A.
And that may be the WTVM site for their game of the week.
Possibly.
Lochapoka, Lee Scott, and then, Lee Scott Glenwood are going to face off here
Yeah, of
in
course.
a few weeks too. Well, we've had a lot of fun. Thank y'all so much all for supporting what we do here on Georgia-Alabama Sports Live. We got Coach's Show softball tomorrow, and then we got a full slate of stuff here, of course, as we always do. Like us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, and we see you next time on the Georgia-Alabama Sports Live Show.